Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Julian Routh. I'm editor-in-chief of the Duquesne Duke, and I'm here today with Joey Sykes, our sports editor, and Andrew Holman, a sports columnist. We're here today to talk about the Steelers game Saturday night, which was, gentlemen, probably one of the craziest games that I've ever seen. You get the end of the game here where two crazy penalties by the Bengals pushed the Steelers 30 yards forward to kick a game-winning field goal. Andrew, what was your biggest takeaway from the game?
I think honestly the biggest takeaway, besides the injuries, because that's going to hurt them in the future, but I think the biggest takeaway was just the relentlessness that the team showed. I think they're up 15-0. You lose your quarterback, and all of a sudden everything becomes a panic. But the Steelers showed a lot of heart, especially Ryan Shazier. I mean, stripping him when really the Bengals were just running down the clock. It was an incredible play. And I think, they just showed a lot of heart. Chris Boswell, clutch. That was his first really big-time field goal, and he made it. So I think, the relentlessness, that was my biggest takeaway, and they're going to need it. They're going to absolutely have to have a next-man-up mentality going forward. So.
Now, I think the biggest critique of the Bengals this week was that, they played undisciplined, and that they've played undisciplined all season in the AFC North. Joey, how much of Saturday's loss do you really think falls on Marvin Lewis's shoulders? Because people are blaming him. People are saying that he should be fired. He's 0-7 in the last 7 years in the playoffs. I mean, really, should he be fired?
I think he should be. 0-7, that speaks for itself. When you're a coach of a football team, your primary goal is to win playoff games. It's not regular season. Sure, regular season is a big deal that gets you into the playoffs, but this is where it really counts. And if you can't do that as a coach, that's huge. I see this in a bunch of other, you look at Bill Belichick. How many Super Bowls? 4 right now? I don't even know. But it's crazy. I just think at his position, he should totally find something else. Maybe head coaching is not the right position for him, but I think someone else needs to take charge, someone who has experience, at least, in the playoffs. Because these players are good players, and they need someone that will bring them to the next level. I'll say one thing that is impressive, at least from this standpoint. I don't think A.J. McCarron's that great of a quarterback, honestly. I think Dalton is phenomenal. A lot of people say he's mediocre, but getting to the playoffs when your starting quarterback is down with a guy like A.J. McCarron, sure, he did phenomenal with Alabama. Mm-hmm. But still, that's a lot of pressure on someone who has never been at this stage yet. And I think that's impressive, the way he handled it and the way he calmed him down. So I will give that to Marvin Lewis.
I don't think Marvin Lewis should be fired either. I think he did a great job all season, and he's proven year after year he can get, sometimes the Bengals were really just average, and they were able to get to the playoffs. So this team this year, they were a great team. Obviously, they started, 12-0 or something like that. This was a phenomenal team with a lot of talent. So I don't think Marvin Lewis should be fired, but I think that he needs to pay close attention to things. Mm-hmm. Maybe not even the game plan. Maybe he needs to focus next year. He's going to have this incredibly talented team. He needs to focus on channeling their, emotion and passion into making the smart plays, not just being idiots.
But he's got to step up soon.
Absolutely.
It can't be 0-8 next year. I don't know when where the line is for that. When you're the GM, the owner of the Cincinnati Bengals, I think he's got to do it soon. I think they have enough talent to make it at least decent way into the playoffs. So.
Well, it looks as if they're going to keep him, so we'll see at least next year at this time where he is too. Now let's shift gears back to the Steelers for a second. A lot of people are calling past Saturday's win one of the greatest playoff moments in Steelers history. For me, I got to say 1972, the Immaculate Reception. Franco Harris scoops the ball off the ground against the Raiders and takes it all the way. That's probably the best moment in playoff history, period, for me. Number 2 for me is Santonio Holmes in 2009. Come on, the most perfect throw in the back of the end zone, one of the most iconic catches ever. And then I think number 3 for me would be what we saw this past Saturday. It was absolutely out of this world. Andrew, where do you put it?
I agree with you. I actually slide it down to my 4th moment in playoff history. First one, I think Immaculate Reception. I don't think anyone's really going to question that. Again, I had the Steelers-Cardinals Super Bowl in the 2008 season. I have that as my 2nd playoff moment. That was a phenomenal game. Not only just the Santonio Holmes catch, but the James Harrison interception return for a touchdown right before halftime.
And then the final drive, the whole drive. Ben's on the 10-yard line all the way down the field. It was incredible.
Exactly. It was amazing. And then my 3rd moment is actually the Steelers-Colts game in the 2005 season when Jerome Bettis fumbled on the goal line. I think the reason I put it ahead of it is because the magnitude that game and that play had. Jerome Bettis fumbled. Ben Roethlisberger makes a shoestring tackle.
Vanderjack misses the field goal.
But it's for me, it's there because the Steelers made it to the Super Bowl. So if the Steelers can make a run, this one might shift up. But right now, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but I've seen the 2005 America's Game made by the NFL Network a few times. Is absolutely phenomenal. So I recommend watching that. But in there they just show this is Jerome Bettis' last year, and for his career to end like
and
that.
Cowher's last year too, correct?
Yeah. And for his career to end like that with a fumble on the goal line, and them losing would have been horrific. But the way the team responded, kind of that relentless thing again, and then they took that win. They got a little bit lucky, but they took that win and rode it all the way to Super Bowl championship. I think that's why I placed it ahead of it. But this was a phenomenal game, absolutely. Winning 15-0. I think I was pretty calm. I know that. Watching it, I was like, oh, Steelers are in control of the game. It's only 15-0 lead, but still, they felt like they were in complete control. And then when Ben went hurt, it was just like, oh wow, like we got to hold on to this. And so, it got very close at the end, but good for the Steelers being able to make the plays and get the win.
Now you mentioned 2005. The Steelers were also a 6 seed. They had to play 3 straight games on the road, which they're going to have to do this time, too, to make it to the Super Bowl. And they did it. And this week we're playing Peyton Manning with the Broncos. We had to play Indianapolis' version of Peyton Manning. We beat him. Much better team back then. This brings me to this, which is, barring injuries, we have Antonio Brown, very doubtful for this weekend. Ben Roethlisberger is battling 2 torn ligaments in his shoulder, both courtesy of Burfict, by the way, who was suspended for 3 games today. So really, with these injuries, how far do you think the Steelers can really make it? Can they repeat the success they had in 05?
I think they're fine. You guys know me as my bias from Cleveland fan, but the one thing I appreciate from the Steelers is their work under pressure. Just because, you both mentioned it, the Super Bowl 43, being down after that Larry Fitzgerald touchdown, coming back, scoring. And I've seen that a number of times, and I think they can do this against the Broncos. Peyton Manning, I feel like he's going to fold like he did last year against the Patriots. And I don't think injuries are a huge deal. I think Ben is tough enough to power through that. And sure, Antonio Brown may not be back. I don't think we have finally got a word on that yet, but I think they'll be fine. I think their defense really needs to show up at this game. But yeah, I think they'll find themselves in the AFC Championship once again.
Well, Andrew, Peyton Manning hasn't played a game since November 15th when he threw 3 interceptions in the first half. Broncos fans everywhere were calling for them to sit Peyton Manning. Now he's playing a divisional playoff game against a Steelers defense that is kind of tattered at points. What chances do you give them against Denver?
I think it all comes down to play Peyton Manning. Like you said, he hasn't played much. He did get into that game in Week 17. He filled in for Brock Osweiler to finish the game, and he played pretty well, but I still question his arm strength a little bit. I think that's going to be a big factor because if he can make those throws down the field, it's really going to hurt the Steelers because their pass defense hasn't been that good. But if Peyton Manning's struggling and they can force the Broncos to try to be a run-first offense, I think the Steelers have a chance because their run defense has been really strong. But then I'm not so confident they can overcome those injuries as easily as Joey said. I think Ben it's going to be interesting to see. Even if he does play, there's no guarantee he can throw more than 15 yards at a time, and part of their effectiveness is the deep ball down the field. And then also, if Antonio Brown's not there, I think a lot of people are saying, oh, Antonio Brown, there's games where he only has 3 catches and the Steelers still win. But they're not thinking the fact that Martavis Bryant becomes the number 1 receiver. He gets their number 1 cornerback. And then Marcus Wheaton gets their number 2. So when Marcus Wheaton went off for over 200 yards against Denver the last time, that's not happening against their number 2 cornerback. So it really shifts the whole dynamic of the offense. The D'Angelo Williams it's a tough blow, but I think they proved against the Bengals that Tucson and Tottenham
tandem running back, yeah,
they came in and played great. So I don't think the running is too much of an issue. They're definitely going to have to be run heavy. The problem is the Broncos defense is very good. So we'll see how that plays out. I'll give them a shot, but I think it really comes down to how well Peyton Manning plays. Also, definitely got to mention he doesn't play very well in the cold. So there's another factor that could go in the Steelers' favor. But I think it's going to be a tough game for the Steelers to win. But who knows? They've showed in the past that they can pull off some pretty incredible moments. So.
Yeah, so from what you're saying, honestly, I do agree with you, which is that Ben is probably going to hurt the Steelers more if he doesn't play rather than Brown. I don't know if you remember in 05, the Steelers were going with a Hines Ward, Antoine Randall pairing, and Bryan and Whedon have more catches, more yards per catch than both of those guys did. I know then we had Willie Parker and Jerome Bettis, which were kind of plagued by our run game at this point, but I do give the Steelers a very good chance. Super Bowl picks. Vegas has the Arizona Cardinals winning the Super Bowl. I want to hear from you. Who do you have?
I got to go with Green Bay. They bounced back last week, and you can never bet against a guy like Aaron Rodgers. But the history with him and Tom Brady is enough to, in my opinion, have the Patriots and the Packers in the Super Bowl.
You know what I think about those picks, Joey? Garbage. That's what I think. I don't think the Packers, honestly, I don't give them much of a chance. First of all, I think the Cardinals, Panthers, and Seahawks are the 3 best teams left in the playoffs. So that enough, pretty much takes them out. But although they bounced back last week, without Jordan Nelson, their offense has honestly just been completely stagnant for most of the second half of the season. And so I don't give them much of a chance coming out of the NFC.
I agree with you about the Packers, which is that Aaron Rodgers has been the flukiest quarterback of the season. I know you can have a lot of trust in him, but I certainly don't, especially down the stretch here. But I disagree with you in saying that the Patriots aren't in your top teams. They're not to you.
No, absolutely not. I think they would have been, but there's been so many injuries, and I know they're getting healthier now, but it's a thing they haven't played together in a few weeks, and I know they're a great team when they prepare really well, all that stuff. The Patriots, I give them a good shot, especially to get to the Super Bowl, but I absolutely do not think they're one of the 3 best teams. I think Cardinals, Seahawks, Panthers, those are the 3 best teams.
Who's your Super Bowl winner?
It's tough because I think if the Steelers were healthy, going into the playoffs, I said Steelers-Seahawks. So if the Steelers were still healthy, that would be my pick. Now I have a little more trouble saying that. I still think the Seahawks will get there. I think they caught their lucky break against Minnesota. It's a team that's caught a few lucky breaks in the last few years, but it doesn't matter. They've got to the Super Bowl. They have a talent to get there. Russell Wilson's been playing really well. So Seattle is my NFC pick, although I think the NFC playoffs are going to be great. AFC, I don't know. I think the Chiefs are going to beat the Patriots, and I guess my biased opinion hopes the Steelers beat the Broncos. So you know what? I might as well stick with my picks from before the playoffs and go Steelers, Seahawks, and we'll just leave it at that.
Chiefs are going to beat the really?
I think the Chiefs will beat the
Well, they
Patriots.
had a very strong opening showing, but I could have an opening showing against the Houston Texans, and I'm sure you probably could too. So you got the Seahawks, right?
Let's try not to hate on Brian Hoyer a little bit because he's from Cleveland. So that's
sorry,
my
I
boy.
forgot. I'm sorry to you too.
Be careful.
Yeah.
Be careful hating on Brian Hoyer. But yes, the Texans. That was a sad performance.
Very, very sad. So you got Seahawks winning the Super Bowl.
Steelers, Seahawks winning. Yeah, Seahawks winning.
All right. I'm going to go with Vegas here. I got the Cardinals.
I got Patriots.
You got Patriots.
Number 5.
You don't have the Packers.
No.
Not. I thought you did have the Packers.
He got a little offended.
No, I said I picked the Packers for the NFC.
I got you.
We tore his opinion apart, and then he was like, "I can't pick the Packers."
All right.
Yeah, I think the Cardinals have a great shot. Last year they had a good chance because they were a strong team, and then the Carson Palmer injury kind of hurt them. But this year they should be pretty good.
All right. Well, that was a great conversation, gentlemen. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next week with a different discussion. And this has been the Duke Roundtable. Thank you.
Think about those picks, Joe. I think they're garbage. Honestly, Green Bay, I don't think they have a chance. You saw them play in the second half of that season. And Green Bay struggled mightily, and they picked it up last week. All right, we're gonna have to start this.
No, wait, listen.
We're gonna have to recollect ourselves.